Good morning. It's Torte de Lini. When's the last time you played Naga Siren? I'm sure you've noticed that a lot of pro players are opting for Eternal Shroud on Naga Siren rather than Heart of Tarask. And while the nerfs to Heart in 7.35 are pretty massive, Eternal Shroud's buff is the reason Naga Siren players are buying that item even after the developers fixed a bug where your illusions were receiving magic resistance from the item. That's no longer real since the Lunar New Year patch, but still makes her pretty popular to buy that item. So for starters, both Naga Siren and Heart of Tarask have received nerfs in the past year. In 7.35, I'm sure you guys remember, Heart got a pretty significant drop in value. Heart not only became less convenient to build, replacing Vitality Booster component with a Ring of Tarask, but also Heart of Tarask gives way less health than before, dropping from 45 strength that you see here to in 7.33 to 35 and 7.34, and then finally in 7.35 they removed all the bonus health that you would get. Now Naga Siren is also similar. If we take a look here, where similarly also lost some base health, armor, and strength gain across the board, especially in 7.35. And both these nerfs just tuned down Naga Siren's overall tankiness throughout all stages of the game, while also making Heart of Tarask take more time to reach, harder to reach, and with less value when purchased. This is especially true with the popularity of Bloodthorn. I don't know if you guys remember Bloodthorn, but it now takes a significant priority, at least the Orchid portion, for Naga Siren, training her survivability for mid-game aggression and objectives, on top of necessary mana, or rather mana pool, through the stats that she gets with Bloodthorn and, more importantly, Orchid. This is even more so true now that Bloodthorn pierces armor, deals magic damage from any of your illusions who attacks your target. So really good value, really interesting dynamic and synergy with Naga Siren. So all that said, Naga Siren's armor is still really good, making her illusions brutal to fight against. She's still, I think, one of the top 10 heroes to have the most inherent armor, right next to Juggernaut, Monkey King, Luna, and Terrorblade. So she's definitely fearsome to take on, especially for physical heroes. So here's the kicker and why Eternal Shroud is so popular on Naga Siren. Let's not beat around the bush here. Eternal Shroud gives almost as much health as Heart of Tarask at a fraction of the cost. And I think we're going to see a nerf in that for sure. I mean, for Heart of Tarask, it's 5,200 for 70 health. And then for Eternal Shroud, it's 3,600 gold for 608 HP. So for a non-strength hero like Naga Siren, Eternal Shroud becomes much more viable option to deal with magic damage, which is very popular this meta, than spending so much on a Heart of Tarask. And this allows her to at least get a tanky base health of health pool for her illusions at a much earlier timing and a lower cost, to then go buy her next items, usually a disperser or even a butterfly. I mean, basically, if she wants to regen from Heart of Tarask, then actually she can just pick up her Ag's Shard, which gives her the added value of healing all allies for 5% of their max health per second for like 7 seconds. Let's take a look. Look at that. People forget about this because usually you wouldn't pick it up. You would just go Heart of Tarask. But if you want to, you can get this general good team item that has better health regen than the Heart of Tarask. It's not really comparable, but for the sake of regen, it's just vastly better for lower cost, right? 1,400. So, just for comparison, Heart of Tarask is like 1.6% max health regen, but you get all that health and everything else with Heart of Tarask. So again, it's not really comparable, but Eternal Shroud plus the Shard kind of makes like a makeshift Heart of Tarask at lower cost and more value for your team. So I'm sure the immediate question you guys have is, does Eternal Shroud also apply to Phantom Lancer? And you actually usually no, because Phantom Lancer is regularly spitting out illusions on attack in fights, as opposed to Naga Siren, who does it all at once. Besides the fact that Phantom Lancer doesn't have an Ag Shard that gives him health regeneration like Naga Siren, He relies on Heart of Tarrasque max health regen. So if he's injured while fighting, his illusions won't be summoned with like a tiny bit of health, but rather they will gradually regain their health, just like Phantom Lancer, thanks to his heart, right? So if your illusions have 10 HP, but you keep fighting and you're regenerating your health because they're not really targeting you, then eventually you have 20, 30, 40, 50, 200, 300 HP, and your illusions, as you're generating more and more of them, get more health. So if you remember, actually reminds me, if you remember back in the day, Phantom Lancer at one point bought Hood of Defiance, both because of the magic resistance for his hero, but also because it came with some health regeneration, and the same logic is applied here for Heart of Tarrasque. So, really short video because I got like 3 other videos to do today. In summary, Heart of Tarrasque's nerfs and Eternal Shroud's buffs are not only bringing the ideas closer together in terms of health gains, but creating an even bigger separation between how different illusion heroes benefit from 2 different items, and thus their power spike timings. While Phantom Lancer is consistently summoning illusions throughout a fight, and thus needs the Heart of Tarrasque's health regeneration, despite its nerfs, Naga Siren has risen to the meta's popularity with Eternal Shroud changes and in counter to the rise of magic and spell damage meta. Even in the face of popular items like Maelstrom that still does extra damage to illusions, Naga Siren still prevails even at the highest level of Pro Dota. So, nice. New record, 7 minutes. Thanks for watching. Don't forget, I'm on Twitch, and I have my first YouTube channel posting hero tutorials and hero build updates every week. Literally going to do that this week. 500-600 changes coming to be announced, so stay tuned. Thanks again, and have a good morning.